and welcome to today's program. This is your Health Chat program, which looks at various health issues and other related issues. As you are aware, we are talking of well-being of children, and so today's topic of discussion is nutrition in schools. And so I have a team with me in studio from World Vision, and I will allow them to introduce themselves as they give us just a brief of who they are and the department they are representing. I'll start with Mr. Chibwika.
Thank you very much for welcoming us, and thank you to all our viewers that are watching us from home. I am Charles Chibwika. I'm the technical specialist for capacity building under the World Vision Education Programming, which is known as Zambia Reading for Education and Development, which we are using models that are known as unlock literacy and learning routes to support the Ministry of Education in education service provision in the country.
Oh, thank you so much. Rebecca?
Thank you so much for the warm reception, and thank you, viewers. My name is Rebecca Pongolani Gondwe. I'm the school feeding program manager from World Vision under the Humanitarian and Emergency Affairs. Thank you.
Okay, James?
Thank you so much. My name is James Zimba. I'm the National Advocacy Campaign Coordinator. So I'm coordinating the campaign right now to end child hunger and malnutrition in Zambia.
Great. You have well elaborated your positions and briefly what you're doing, but maybe just in brief, what do each of these departments do towards nutrition? And I'll start with James.
Okay, thank you so much. So the advocacy department and the campaign desk, to be specific, is right now advocating for improved access to nutritious foods for children so that they can survive now and in the future. All right? That's what we do. So basically the advocacy is a mouthpiece for other technical programs under World Vision. Just to mention them, so we have the ZREAD that Charles talked about. We also have the humanitarian. We also have the health technical program. We have the EL Andara, which deals with agriculture. We have child protection. And all these combine to look at the welfare of that child in the community. And advocacy is there to provide the voice. So what we are looking for is not just the children to enjoy the programming that we do, but also let's give them a platform for these children to speak and say how they are benefiting from the World Vision programming.
Great,
yeah.
Great. Rebecca, your department, what is it all about?
Thank you. So my department is quite vast, and I'll talk about school feeding. So school feeding is providing school meals to children from ECE to grade 7 in the areas that were affected by the drought induced by the El Nino. So far we've reached 138, over 138 learners in over 200 schools across Zambia. So the school feeding is using the holistic approach, integrating nutrition, education, health, and child protection, just to ensure that the child is well-being is okay. And then besides that, on partnership and collaboration, we are working with the government closely to deliver the project to our beneficiaries. That's the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, Community Development, and also the community at school level. Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Chibwika.
Yes, please. Thank you. As we all know, education is the cornerstone of human development. So ours is to focus on ensuring that the child acquires learning skills, reading skills. When they acquire those reading skills, they should now begin to read in order to learn. However, in doing so, a child has multifaceted needs that they need for them to be able to contain learning in the school confines. And so we engage parents to be part and parcel of the learning process of the child. So what my colleagues have talked about, we are talking about nutrition, and you are looking at a child. Who should provide nutrition to the child? It is the parents. It is the guardians. And so the parents are engaged in a learning process that is called the reading awareness workshops. In the reading awareness workshops, which are community-based, are meant to ensure that parents take a leading role in the learning process of the child. They need to know that they need to pack some food package for their child as they are coming to school. Failure to do that, a child will be in school, but the mind is not there because they have not eaten. In the situation where we have a hunger situation, people are having meals maybe once in a day. They have set a specific time that they are supposed to have meals. And if the child knows that the meals are being taken at 13 hours, maybe at 16, and the child is in school, what will happen? The child will not pay attention. All right? So parents must be able to know, much as we have this situation, this child must be provided with the required food package of what they have in their household. And so this is what is critical, and also engaging the school leaders as well. Remember, the school has the PTC, the Parents Teachers Committee. So they are working together. The school is providing the skills to the child, and also the parents are coming in to ensure that this child is provided with the basics. And part of those basics are the nutrition.
Great. I know that World Vision has one department which is dealing with Enough campaign. What is this Enough campaign?
Okay, thank you so much, Faith. So Enough campaign is a global call, all right? And the call is on everyone, from global level, UN, to the African Union, to the region, SADC, and finally to individual government, and you can narrow that down to individual parents. A call for everyone to realize that actually enough is enough, all right? This world has seen enough of children suffering in terms of not having enough to eat, all right? And also issues of malnutrition. Now, this is happening in the midst of the plenty food and resources that we have in the world, all right? And therefore, World Vision decided that it's important that we engage ourselves in a campaign, an advocacy campaign, to alert everyone, to call everyone to act and end the suffering children are going through. And also, if we can manage, now I'm quoting the language of the PS in the office of the Vice President, said we have to eliminate, malnutrition. We shouldn't just reduce. We should eliminate it. All right. So what is the whole issue about this campaign? How are we, envisioning this campaign? It's divided into two. The first component of it is we want communities, parents, everyone, including government, all right, to ensure that we grow enough food, and this food must be local, local food, and the local food must be nutritious food, because we understand, I think, there's been this move, globally actually, to, grow foods that may not be indigenous to certain areas. For example, us in Zambia here, and we have seen that because of that, there is high chances of crop failure should there be even just a partial drought. Now we should understand that these areas have had local seed before, and this campaign is there to promote the growing of the local seed to ensure that even when rainfall is not enough, these local seeds can do better and ensure that there's food security at home, and that the children, the vulnerable children, have access to that food. So it calls for information as well to the parents, as Charles was putting it. We want the parents to realize that actually the children, it's their responsibility to ensure that the children are fed, the children are taken care of, and with nutritious food. Side two of the campaign is to do with the policies. right? We understand. For example, here in Zambia, we have very good policies. I'll just cite two of them. One is the second National Agricultural Policy of 2016, well written, well articulated, well guided on what we should be doing as a country, what we should be growing, and you know how this food should be managed and by who and everything. The other one is the Zambia Climate Change Policy of 2016 as well, and you know, we got information that is undergoing some review. It's also giving us a very good guidance in terms of how we should be dealing with issues of climate change. What farmers, parents, and everyone should be doing to contribute to the reduction in climate change. Now, the other key policy I can mention here is the National Food and Nutrition Policy of 2006, which is undergoing a review right now.
Well.
So this campaign is therefore advocating that for the policies that already exist and they are still valid, the information is still valid, not outdated. We should work with the line ministries that we ensure the implementation of those policies up to household level. However, if there are policies that require revision, review, and so on, like the National Food and Nutrition Policy, we should be working with the Ministry of Health and also through the National Food and Nutrition Commission to work with them to ensure that these policies are reviewed. And from World Vision and with the wealth of information that we have due to our community engagement, we should be able to provide this information and inform the process of policy revision so that once these policies are well revised, they can be implemented and people benefit. And our focus is the vulnerable child, to ensure that they have not just food. So we are not just talking about any other food, but nutritious food that will help them develop. And even when Charles is talking about children going to school, children perform better when they are eating nutritious food. And that is this campaign. So in Zambia, we are saying it takes Zambia to end child hunger and malnutrition. At global level, we are saying enough. End child hunger and malnutrition now.
Great, well articulated. I love the energy there because it has to, it is telling us to say we have to take part in this because it's a noble cause.
Yes.
Coming to Charles.
Yes, please.
We are looking at nutrition in children.
Yes.
There are so many challenges that these our little, school-going children face. They lack books, they lack other, things that they need to use.
Yes.
What challenges do you face, or does this Z-Read face in, attending to these various issues that our school-going children have?
Thank you very much, Faith. That's a very important question. It's very critical to appreciate and understand that taking a child to school or a child sitting in class in itself is not sufficient. I talked about a child acquiring skills to learn to read. When they acquire the skills to learn to read, all of us went to school and we began to crack the code. Cracking the code meaning a child is now making sense of those characters. R, A, E, O, O. With these letters M, N, making sense to make a word. They should now be provided with resources. These are reading materials for the child to be able to practice. And so the 2013 National Literacy Framework of the Ministry of Education highlighted some gaps. And one of the gaps included inadequate supplementary reading materials for children to use as a gap. We seized that opportunity as World Vision. We went on the market to look for materials or supplementary reading materials that are approved by the department of the ministry in charge of authenticating what goes in the classroom. And so we procured supplementary reading books in a tune of over 100,000 books, and these were distributed in the schools where we are intervening for children to have access to available reading materials. As if that is not enough, those were on the market. We went again to the ministry through the Directorate of Curriculum Development that we can support in the development of fresh supplementary reading storybooks. And so we've worked with the community members, the parents we are talking about. We've worked with the teachers that are teaching these children. We've worked with the curriculum development specialists to develop supplementary reading materials. And we have developed in an excess of over 80 titles that have been produced in books of learners that have been, they were handed over actually to the Minister of Education on 16th May 2024, a tune of over 180,000 copies of books in Chinyanja, in Chitonga, in Chibemba, but now we have added on Lunda and Silozi.
Okay.
There are so many more that are going on to ensure that children have available level appropriate but culturally relevant reading materials that they need in the schools, as well as the reading camps. Remember, I talked about the intervention in the
Yes,
communities.
yes.
We also provide the same reading materials to the children.
Okay, great. I know we are talking of a child in diverse, aspects. In the work of the El Ninos, the droughts, climate change, and all that, how has this affected the feeding program in these our schools where we are present, Madam Rebecca?
Thank you, Faith.
Yeah.
In the presence of the El Nino, it hasn't been very easy to implement the school feeding program because before the actual implementation of the program, learners were so much affected. As you know, the El Nino never spared any sector. It affected the agriculture sector, it affected the education sector, energy sector. So for the education sector, our learners would come to school on empty stomachs, walking very long distances to school, and when they reach school, they go into class on empty stomachs. So that was not a good thing to them because they were losing focus and they could not fully concentrate as the teachers were teaching. So because of all those, they were also trickling down to nutrition levels because the children were coming from households that were food insecure. And you know, when there's food insecurity, we just eat anything that we can come across. So the nutrition aspect was not there. So the other challenge that was there was malnutrition. So in schools, before we started the feeding, we had so many numbers of children who were affected by malnutrition. And then as Charles talked about the type of commodity that we have to be feeding the children, it's not just giving them food, but the type of food that is nutritious. So we came in as World Vision to provide high energy protein porridge so that it supplements on the nutrition aspects and the energy aspect. So the objective of feeding the learners with the high energy protein supplement is to increase their attendance and also to improve the health and nutrition and increase the performance of the learners. So we are now feeding and the learners have been feeding, and I would want to say that in most of the districts the attendance has really improved. It's amazing. And also the nutrition aspect, we can see that it's also improving respectively the performance. We are yet to measure that. Maybe in the end of maybe month end of April, we'll be able to measure the performance, how the performance has increased, and also the nutrition aspect. Yes. And so we've also been affected in such a way that it has been very difficult to have availability of food. There's been a decrease in supply of food. So we would want to, ideally, the districts are supposed to be buying the food in their local districts, their local areas. But because of the decrease in supply of food, that was induced by the drought, the food is scarce in the districts, forcing the districts to outsource the food which we are feeding from other districts. For example, we are buying the herbs from Lusaka and taking to the other districts. And the other challenge also has been the increase on the cost of the commodities. Yeah. Previously, maybe I would give an example of a 50 kg bag of herbs. Previously, before the drought, maybe we were getting it at 750 kwacha. But during the drought, we are getting that bag at 2,035 kwacha, meaning the price has increased twice
It's
the price.
escalated,
Yeah,
actually.
it has escalated. So that has also been one of the biggest challenges during this drought. And so instead of reaching more people, you are limited
Exactly.
to a certain number due to the price. Then the other challenge also is we've had scarce local foods, as James put it. The learners, we are trying to promote homegrown school meals, since we are working with the government, and so we are also supporting that. But because of the drought, we don't have the local foods readily available for the learners to consume. So we are giving them foods that are not grown in their locations.
Locations.
Yes, so before we give them, we have to engage the community, the parents, so that we talk about the food we're about to introduce to the children, and they see the importance, and they also come to get a buy-in to say, actually, this food is okay. Yes, so that is one among the challenges we've been facing during the drought. Yeah.
Okay, great. This is really a noble cause, because if we look at the situation currently, and you coming in as an organization is actually a very, very thing that everyone else can actually appreciate. Which places are we present in? Is it the whole country, or is there some selected districts or provinces that we are in? Anyone can take that.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So in terms of provincial coverage, we are in 9 of the 10. I think with an exception of
Copperbelt.
Yeah, sure. In terms of districts, we should be well around 70, 71, somewhere there. Yeah. We may not be everywhere. So even when we talk about the district, we may not cover the whole district. For example, in certain areas, we are in wards. We operate in wards. So, for example, I remember of Chama. In Chama, we are in 2 wards. So, Wazimu and Mpalausenga, and so on. It goes like that. But suffice to know or to say that in total we have 28 satellite offices, dotted around the country, and that's where the implementation is being done. And the areas where we are, we call them operational areas. All right.
Yeah. Great. I know Rebecca talked of these programs cannot really be quantified and all that, but generally, how can we rate ourselves as departments, as an organization? How has been the impact on the community per se with the programs that you are carrying?
The impact, as it is being indicated based on the different services, is huge. I think quantifying it, we may say in the operation areas where we are working, because once World Vision area goes in this particular area, it is there for 15 to 20 years of operation.
Actually, minimum of 15.
Minimum of 15.
Yeah.
The reason why he's saying we do not take the whole district approach or the whole province approach is to avoid a thinly distribution of resources. Because the services are targeting a child. A child must come from a food secure home. A child must have a health facility so that this child is healthy. The child must be protected. So all these services must be given in one area. Maybe in other terms we say self-contained in a way.
A full pack.
However, there come projects that are specific to be intervened in given areas. And so you find that such projects will drift away from the area programs. I will give an example from the education point of view. We do not have the traditional education intervention in Mukushi, in Shibuyunji, but we have sub-projects that are there, okay? We have intervention in Northwestern on the catch-up, Okay, we have the humanitarian intervention in districts of Western Province where we do not have the traditional area programming, but because of the nature of the project, the donor or the funder has suggested that we need to go in this area.
Yeah.
We have support from different sources, bilateral, multilateral, charities, and also organization, institutions like EU, who would fund certain projects or programs to be intervened to provide a service to the community. So to quantify it, it is very difficult, but it's huge.
It is huge.
That's what I can say, Faith.
Right.
It is huge because investment is quite intense.
Okay.
We have water and sanitation, which is our sister program, our sister technical program, that work in with all the sectors.
Yes.
It is working with education. Where there is a school, we are no longer, Faith, putting a monopump, chiguju. There is just a tap right in the interior of the community.
Wow.
So that this child is able to get clean and safe
safe
drinking water.
Yeah.
That grandmother is no longer going to the river to be endangered by the crocs. Is within the homestead.
Yes.
There's a tap that is
tap
there.
there.
In a health facility, there is water there which is extended to the community. In this learning institution, in a school, there is water that is extended to the community. So these investments come with huge expenses. So quantifying them would be a whole lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And,
yes, James.
Yeah, I think to add on what Charles is saying, so another informant of where we should be is very much based on the the demographic and health survey reports, because those pick out the most vulnerable areas, and this explains why you may wish to know that the World Vision is more of rural than urban. People have questioned this to say, but there's also poverty around
in the
here.
outskirts and not
No.
Okay.
We are following the most vulnerable. I think that's the definition. And the definition for us.
Really, we're supposed to be given a platform where we can even talk probably the whole day.
Yeah.
But looking at time and all that,
Yeah, sure.
maybe kindly speak to the involvement of parents in these your programs. I know with the massive investments, massive impact on the community, what is the role of the parents and the community as a whole, since you kind of target individuals and to some extent the community? How is it, before we come to the collaboration that you have with other different ministries that you're partnering with?
Maybe before he comes in,
Yes.
before any intervention is done, World Vision begins with engagement, community engagement.
Great.
So in the community, we are involving the community members, the parents, the traditional leaders. Remember, our traditional leaders have influence,
Yes.
Great influence. actually.
great influence.
Yes.
If our chiefs, our headmen will stand and speak to their people, they will listen.
True.
More than they can even listen to government officials.
True.
And so that is our target, to start with engagement, so that what is it that you are bringing to the table? What is it you are bringing to the community? So whether it is to do with education in the community, whether it is to do with intervention due to calamities and outbreaks, whether it is to do with lobbying them through advocacy, community is the entry point.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can also add something on the community. Yeah, so for school feeding programs, community involvement is very crucial because we are feeding their children. And you know where food is concerned is so delicate and sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the community allowed a platform to participate because they also help us to advocate at community level
Yeah.
and at school level for better learning environment and also for better school feeding environment. The community also helps us to mobilize resources. I was speaking to school feeding. I'm talking about homegrown meals.
Yeah.
So for homegrown meals, a school is supposed to have a field, some land somewhere where they can plant that crop. So without the involvement of the community, some schools don't own land.
Exactly.
But when we involve the community, they advocate for us, yes, on the behalf of the schools, and then you find that even individuals, parents, the village headmen, they'll be able to give land free of charge to the school, and then the school will start planting there. So they help us to mobilize resources, and also they help us to raise awareness within the community, because it's not all the community that are convinced at once when you take a program. There are all these misconceptions about the program. So when we bring in the community, we engage them in the project, they get a buy-in. Then they also now roll it out to the rest of the community members. Then talking about parents, they're also very cardinal, because that's a household where our child is coming from, the child we are all targeting. So the parent will be able to support in volunteering. I'll give an example in school feeding. We have volunteers. I think we've trained and screened about 1,020 volunteers. We call them food handlers. These are the people who are handling food in school feeding. So they are volunteering, they are not getting paid. So why are they volunteering? Why did they agree? How did they agree? Because we involved them right from the beginning. And they are also very supportive, because if a child is not well, they'll be able to let us know that the child is not well and we think it's this, or maybe we think it's the intervention at school. So we need both the community and the parents in our programming, and they've really been
great. But I think for Charles, you come in terms of collaboration due to time. I just want you to speak to what your partners are, who are you partnering with, to see to it that these programs are really being implemented where they're supposed to be. And give me your closing remarks as you speak to them.
Okay. Thank you so much. So it's James.
Sorry, James, yes. James, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So so here is the take. Let me start by saying the whole engagement at community level is for parents and everyone involved to realize that actually community problems can only be sorted out by the community itself. All right? So that's the starting point. So even when we go there with what we have, the first thing is to build capacity. So parents, we are talking about the parents to these vulnerable children. These form key stakeholders for us, all right? Because we want them to learn the skills on how best, they can bring up this child. So skills in agriculture, skills in child protection, helping the child to read, participation in issues of, provision of the meals. Now, in all this, we have to mention that World Vision is simply supplementing the efforts of the government. And therefore, the bigger stakeholder for us is the government. However, the government is very clever. So it has given us the ministries. Our key stakeholders start from there. We have the Minister of Education. We have, the Minister of Health, Minister of Home Affairs.
Community Development.
Community development, very key. Minister of Finance, because, issues to do with budgeting. You may wish to know Parliament, all right? These are very key institutions to us, and we are working through them. And also because these are also policymakers, so we need them. They are also the UN agencies. We have UNICEF, we have the World Food Program, we have the Food and Agriculture Organization. You see that? We also have the civil society movement. We have our partners, Child Fund, Save the Children, SOS Children's Village, and so on. All those we work together because we realize we are all participating in the arena of a child, and it's that vulnerable child that we are looking at. My closing remarks are Faith, that the campaign to end child hunger is here. It was launched on the 26th of November 2024. We are almost 6 months into this campaign, and our call is for everyone who is hearing us on this program, and there will be many more programs to come, that actually time to act is now. What we have seen is enough. Zambia should not lose a child through malnutrition. Zambia should not derail its development in terms of education because children cannot go to school because they are hungry. It doesn't make sense. So we have to act now and act together to end child hunger and malnutrition.
Well said, James. Rebecca, any closing remarks?
Thank you. So my closing remarks are that when we during the drought, it was difficult to implement homegrown foods. But this time, I think the drought is phasing out. We had the rains. So my appeal is to all the schools that we start the school gardens so that we grow our own local food, and then we'll be able to overcome all the challenges we're meeting during the time of drought. It would be good for our learners to have a diversified menu. Instead of them having the same menu every day, it would be good if we have a diversified menu, and also it would be good for them to eat the local food that they are used to.
Exactly.
If it's groundnuts with sample, they should be able to access that. If it's cowpea leaves with with groundnuts, they should be able to have that. So my appeal is that we go ahead and we go flat out to introduce the production unity and homegrown food.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Well said. Charles, in closing.
Thank you so much, Faith.
Yeah.
A child today is an adult tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
A weak child today is a weak adult tomorrow. So what is happening in the school is what is building this tomorrow's adult. So we need this child to be provided with the right nutrition for them to be able to be in the class, to pay attention, to concentrate, and also to have their performance improved. By doing so, we are helping the child to be a better citizen tomorrow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for making an appearance on our program today.
Thank you.
Well, the core is, well, you know, we cannot even say it better. In Bemba, they say, imiti kula, empanga. And if we're not taking care of these little ones, where is our future?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, for today, we've come to the end of the program. I had with me James Zimba, who is enough campaign coordinator. I also had Charles Chibwika, who is education program specialist. I also had Rebecca Pongolani for school feeding program as a manager there from World Vision. Let's take care of our children, for it is our responsibility, and let's see to it that health issues, health matters are looked out for, whether online or offline. From me, Faith Mutale, and the entire production team, it's goodbye.